Charles has been added to our wall honoring the enslaved of Holly Hedges who would have lived here in the late 1700s and early part of the 1800s. If you haven't seen my earlier video about Charles, I want to go ahead and run through what we do know about Charles. The McMurrans lived here from 1832 to about 1848 prior to moving into Melrose. Melrose is very well known. It is a fabulous, huge mansion with its original dependencies so intact and almost all of the McMurrans' original furnishings. That's why their letters have been saved. That's why we have this information. And that's why today we can honor Charles. So here's what we know. Charles was the carriage driver or the coachman. Judge Edward Turner, who owned this home from 1818 to 1832, when he gave it to his daughter and her husband, John McMurran, wrote a letter to John McMurran saying, "We have had some very severe cases of la grippe, one very similar to that of your man Charles. The internet says la grippe was the flu." Eliza Quitman wrote a letter to her husband in 1843. "Mr. McMurran's horse ran off with his barouche yesterday morning and injured the carriage very much. Charles was on his way out to Melrose to take his mistress to church when the horses took fright and ran away." Mary McMurran wrote a letter to her sister in 1853 after they lived out at Melrose, saying, "Wesley and Charles have both had chill and fever this week, but are now doing well again." Eliza Quitman that same year, 1853, said, "Your uncle's family at Melrose have all remained quite well. That is, the White family. The servants have not been so fortunate. Charles has gone to Live Oaks for his health, and Wesley is dead. Your White family." Does that mean what they would have called their servants who were enslaved? But they would have used the word servants they were thinking of as their black family. Because clearly they had no freedom, but they would say their white family is doing well, but not their black family. Our final entry on Charles is Antonio Quitman wrote in 1855, a couple years later, "The family at Melrose was saddened today by the death of Charles. He had been lingering on since Sunday until about 10 o'clock this morning when he died. He was buried at Melrose this afternoon. Mr. McMurran and Cousin Mary have seemed to feel his rapid decline very much. He has been such a faithful servant to them. I know how hard it would be for us if Aunt Dicey or Harry should die." Everything I read is just so unexpected. It's just such a complicated topic, right? When we talk about the enslaved of Holly Hedges, we can't change history, but we can recognize it. Even when I point out kindnesses, we understand that affection is never a substitute for freedom, but it's something. I would rather think they were kind than unkind. So what we can do right here in 2026 is we can say Charles's name. We can honor that he lived. We don't have Charles's viewpoint, unfortunately, but we have theirs. And theirs was that he was a faithful servant to them, and they clearly had great affection for Charles. Charles, we are happy to recognize you and honor that you lived, that you spent some time here, and I hope you're up in glory land just rejoicing and not even caring probably about what we're doing down here.